Kathryn and welcome to session 6, in which we're going to be covering today temper tantrums. And you're probably thinking, wow, yes, temper tantrums, that happens in our house on a daily basis. Oh gosh, I want to know what to be able to do with these. Well, just to make it so that you really understand, we want to know really what's happening for our children, don't we, when they're having those meltdowns. So at the age of 2, 3, 4, what leads children sometimes to having temper tantrums? And especially it happens most of the time, as we know, in the middle of the supermarket, when as a parent you want the ground to open up and swallow you. Why are they having a full meltdown in the middle of the supermarket over something as trivial as they can't have that packet of crisps off the shelf? But when you're 2 and when you're 3, might seem really trivial to us as a parent, but actually it's a really big deal when you're 2 or 3. And that's because our children haven't quite got that expressive emotional vocabulary yet. So what do we want to do? What do we want to be able to do to support our children, and also to support us as parents as well? Because being a parent is one of the most difficult jobs in the world, and as we know, our children don't come with a manual, so we're often learning on the job and we don't know what to do in those emotional situations. So like we would do with our babies, we would help them on their journey to walking and crawling as well, by putting things out to help them to cruise around. So what we also have to think of is, with our toddlers, we need to be able to show and we need to be able to model that expressive vocabulary so that our children start to understand what's happening, what makes them feel frustrated, because they haven't yet got that expressive vocabulary. And what we say is, with 2 and 3-year-olds, so for our toddlers, is they're very egocentric. So what that means is it's all about them. And you're probably thinking now, oh my gosh, yeah, when I'm telling them to share or to do this, or they've not got that. And our children haven't learnt that yet. And it's not because they are selfish, it's just because, like that journey to walking and to talking, our children have not learnt yet how to be able to do that. So thinking about that brain development. So our toddlers' brains are still under construction. So I like to call it upstairs, downstairs brain. And what sometimes happens is, in those really high emotional situations, where it might even be something as trivial as getting the wrong pair of socks out for them in the morning, they have the biggest meltdown. And that's because sometimes what happens is the downstairs brain has hijacked the upstairs brain. So again, they can't logically think yet, and they can't regulate. So we need to really help our toddlers to be able to do that. So thinking about some of the things that we can be doing with our children to really support that. So this can be just something as simple as talking to our toddlers, so using that emotional vocabulary. So thinking about when our children, especially around play, and we have to think about the times that we're going to be able to do this with our children as well. So when they are in the supermarket and they're having that biggest meltdown, the last thing they need you saying to them is, I can see you look really frustrated there. Because what do we think is going to happen? It is that temper tantrum's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because we're giving them lots of attention at that time for that temper tantrum. So we want to be using some of this emotional vocabulary during play, when our children are really calm. So we want to be using that expressive language. So for example, our 2-year-old might be building a tower with some bricks, and you can see, building up, they might be getting a little bit frustrated. So let's label some of that for our toddlers. I can see, Johnny, I can see you getting really frustrated at getting that last brick on the tower. But wow, how calm are you remaining? So when we're thinking about that attention, what do we think our children are getting attention for there? They're getting that attention for remaining calm. So they're going to be thinking of some of those positive opposites. That's what I like to call it, positive opposites. So when you can see your child is getting maybe angry in a situation, they can't get the socks on properly and they're getting, our 2-year-old's getting really frustrated, we could label those things. Johnny, I can see you getting a little bit angry there, but wow, how patient are you being? Again, what do you think our children are going to be getting that attention for then? They're getting that attention for remaining patient, so they're going to remember some of that vocabulary. What do you think the best thing for us as a parent is to be doing in some of these situations where when we do want the ground to open up and swallow us, and we're thinking, everybody's looking at me thinking I'm the worst parent in the world, but it's really normal for our toddlers to be having those meltdowns, thinking still around that brain under construction. We want to be remaining calm. Even though we might be scrambling around underneath, let's model that calmness for our children, because what our children are going to be seeing us doing there is we're going to be really calm in that situation. We're not going to be giving any attention for that temper tantrum. So by modelling that calm, we're helping our children to be able to see that we're doing that. But also, as well as a parent, we want to share some of those emotions that we have, and it's all right to do that, because again, we're saying to our children it's all right. Sometimes mummy can get a bit frustrated when I'm trying to dry the pots, or I'm trying to do that. But mummy's staying really calm. Because again, what you're doing there is you're really modelling that to your children. You're showing and you're sharing those emotions, even when you might be feeling possibly sad, upset. Model that with your children. Tell them, because again, they're learning all that emotional vocabulary. Thinking about when our children start to come down from having that temper tantrum, and it might last for a while. So what we don't want to be doing is we don't want to be fueling that fire, I like to call it. So we want to not give our children any attention while they're still having that temper tantrum. And what sometimes we might risk doing, as soon as they start to calm down, we might want to go in there and we might want to be saying to them, what have you just had that biggest meltdown for? What do you think we're doing there? We're giving that attention then to that unwanted behaviour. What we really want to focus on is we want to focus on that calming down. And what we also want to do as well is, our children have just been on a big emotional roller coaster. When they've had that biggest meltdown or they've had that tantrum, they've just really often, you'll notice this with your toddler, they've worn themselves out. And what we want to make them feel is we want them to make them feel safe and secure. So as soon as you're ready to engage back with your toddler, do that. Don't enrage, engage. So as soon as you see them calming down, focus on that. Give them a big cuddle, give them a big kiss, tell them it's all right. Try and not go back to focusing on that temper tantrum. And what do you think that's going to help our toddler to do? It's really going to help them to come back down and to self-regulate, and it's also going to make them feel safe, secure and loved. And when we're going back to that emotional brain development, that's what we want our toddlers to really focus on. Temper tantrums won't last forever. You know, normal development milestone, when parents say, oh, my toddler doesn't have a temper tantrum, all toddlers will go through this stage. And it's just about you really staying focused as a parent. You can get through this, it will get easier, and it is really normal. Been lovely. I hope you've been able to take some tips from this. And again, like I said, I'm not here to wave a magic wand and to say your temper tantrums are going to stop, but it's just giving you some really supportive suggestions to really help you on this journey with your toddler. Take care and see you soon. It's been lovely chatting with you today. Thank you.